Thanks for joining us. Now, the chronic absenteeism of members of parliament in the first session of the 7th parliament has cost the Ghanaian taxpayer 1.4 million Ghana cedis. This is the outcome of the latest report published by Parliamentary Watch NGO Odekro. In the report, throughout 2017, 34 ministers of state who double up members of parliament had consistently absented themselves from sittings and sometimes without written permission from the speaker. Odekro says their action violates Article 97(1)(c) of the Constitution, which stipulates a member of parliament shall vacate a seat if he is absent without the permission in writing from the speaker, and he is unable to offer a reasonable explanation to the Parliamentary Committee on Privileges from 15 sittings of a meeting in parliament during any period that parliament has been summoned to meet and continues to meet. Well, all of these MPs are still holding on to their seats, and we ask why. Also, how does this chronic absenteeism translate to a 1.4 million Ghana cedis cost to the country? Joining me on Skype is the Director of Research and Contents Development at Odekro, Ernest Niyama, to tell us more. Good morning, Ernest. So has Odekro been able to find out why the MPs are violating this article in the full glare of the Speaker?
Well, good afternoon, Daniel. We think that the trend persists because from 1992 to date, no absentee MPs have been punished. And this has encouraged impunity and gross disregard for the Constitution and procedures of Parliament. In the report, we made an attempt to explain why speakers are unable to crack the whip against absentee MP. In Ghana's Parliament, Daniel, you know that speakers have always been put forward by the government, the president, and have mostly been elected by the majority in Parliament. Even though this is often done by consensus between the majority and the minority. So obviously the speakers have leaning towards the interest of the government in power and the majority. And so they are constrained in enforcing the Constitution and the standing orders.
Right. So what you're saying basically is it's because nothing is being done to them.
Right. And in the report, we also indicated that the speaker, the current speaker, if you have been following him, his public utterances, you realize that he's got very position in a lot of constitutional matters and has even been an advocate for a lot of constitutional reviews. But then he has been silent on Article 78, which empowers the president to appoint majority of his ministers from Parliament. And we're curious why the speaker, who has been consistently complaining about the conduct of MPs in respect of absenteeism, so quiet about this.
But Ernest, how does this absenteeism translate into 1.4 million Ghana cedis?
Right, Daniel. Actually, the figure is more than that. If we take into account all the MPs who absented without written permission of the Speaker, the 1.4 million Ghana cedis cost to the taxpayer refers to the 54 MPs who violated Article 97(1)(c). So we recently had one MP saying that they receive 11,000 every month. So on average, we have 30 days in the month, and we subtracted 8 weekends, that's Saturdays and Sundays, leaving 22 days. So that translates into 500 cedis per sitting. And the 54 MPs who absented themselves made a total of 2,962 absentee days. So 500 cedis multiplied by 2,962 translates to 1 million Ghana cedis.
But Ernest, by this calculation, are we not reducing the work of the parliamentarians? That is the reason why they are paid to what is done when they are in the chamber. Of course, there are other duties that are supposed to be carried out by a member of parliament.
Right. Daniel, what you're saying is it is not a problem for an MP to absent himself or herself from Parliament. I mean, there are occasions when MPs have to attend to other official engagements. Sometimes they get sick. Sometimes they have to attend to constituency matters. And that's why in the procedures of the House in Parliament, they have a simple form that is leave of absence document that you're supposed to fill to notify the Speaker in writing that for this number of reasons we are unable to attend sittings. That what we are saying is that MPs cannot follow this simple procedure.
Right, but translating it into 1.4 million Ghana cedis reduces the reason why they earn their salaries to what they do when they are in the chamber, does it not?
No, we think some MPs are getting paid no work done. Because if you're absent from the House and the Speaker do not know your whereabouts, then, I mean, how can you claim to be working?
Okay.
And it's very impossible to establish. And I think there is a lot of wisdom in notifying the Speaker in writing so that at least they will check the abuse of the standing orders. I mean, Parliament could have left it open that if you are sick, if you have to attend constituency-related matters, then you absent yourself. But there's a reason why you have to notify the Speaker so that they will ascertain the veracity of your reasons. And the Speaker also reserves the right whether to grant you permission or not.
Okay, Ernest, thank you very much for joining us. Ernest Niama is with Parliamentary Watchdog CSO Odekro. Now, away from that, a former chief executive of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Felix Anya, has blamed poor bed management systems as the various health facilities across the country for the no-bed syndrome phenomenon the country is faced with. Speaking on Joy News' current affairs show, Upfront, Dr. Anya condemned the situation and called on the managers of the country's health facilities to step up their game.
In this century, that is an archaic excuse. It's an unacceptable excuse. It's sad. It's very sad. I said, I cried alone. That this is something that we could solve in 3 months. And we could solve this issue at no cost even to the government.
That sounds strange.
If we can solve bed, you see, when we talk of bed management, we talk of managing of the beds. It doesn't mean that there is no free bed.
Okay.
You understand? And internationally, there are benchmarks on how they are managed. I've talked my first time there, the very first week, I started addressing this issue. And by God's grace, I met the vice president twice on issues relating to how to, well, that was one of the big things. So I believe we can talk about it, but bed management, if you have a software, for example, that looks at all, there's a software within in an end-to-end hospital management system, which we have just had a MOU with. And the software talks about, has a bed management component in which you know all the beds you have in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And you know which are free, which will be free. If there's an emergency that is in a ward, you don't only admit emergencies in an emergency room. We have an emergency team that is on duty. And the bed management, the bed management works in such a way that the emergency room is linked up to any available bed in the hospital. And then the team goes there. So there's no reason why you should refuse somebody because a few beds in the emergency room are occupied. So this is benchmark. This happens in the US, in Israel, in every country. And it's not rocket science. It's simple. It's very simple. And right from June, when I was employed, I've been talking about this issue. But for one reason or the other, it hasn't materialized. And it's about to be materialized.
I see.
So yesterday,
yes.
I just worked over that, because things that can easily be done to save life.
Still watching Joy News today. Still up ahead in the bulletin. Be development-centered and shun the obsession with the white-collar jobs just to make quick money. This is the advice from a petroleum engineer to mentees at the ongoing National Science and Maths Quiz at the University of Ghana Business School. We'll take you there for live updates on how participating schools are faring in today's contest. Also, Russia clashes with Saudi Arabia at 3 p.m. today as the 2018 World Cup takes off. We'll bring you the latest as regards this year's tournament. All that plus sports, business, and showbiz news coming up. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, talk about people defying the odds to live their desired life. And one person who comes into mind is 35-year-old Daniel Opon. He was suffering from thoracic kyphosis, but he wants to have his business rather than beg on the streets. For the past 15 years, Daniel has been a shoemaker. In this piece, he encourages people with all forms of physical disabilities to desist from begging in the streets.
Most people have the idea that persons with disabilities are suffering from curses as a result of punishment from God. All these negative ideas that people have raised on persons with disability could have some health reasons. Due to their conditions, some are forced to beg in the streets as a means of survival. Daniel Opon is a 35-year-old man suffering from thoracic kyphosis. He tells me he was not born with this condition, yet he has learned to live with it. Though he sometimes feels odd and stigmatized, he confirms his confidence and pride to belong.
I've been in the shoemaking business for the past 15 years. My senior brother taught me the trade. He learned it and recommended it to me.
Daniel had a dream of learning some other trade, but his parents could not afford his education, so he ended up in shoemaking.
I was interested in other professions, but my parents could not support me. My senior brother brought me to Accra and taught me the trade.
Blessed with a child, Daniel articulates how much he makes and how he spends his income.
The business is lucrative. I make around 40 Ghana cedis from selling slippers, and for shoes, I make around 120 cedis. Some people buy 2 pairs, which give me more money. In a month, I can make around 200 Ghana cedis. My daughter started schooling this year, so I've made the necessary preparation for her education.
Though begging in the street has been frowned upon in Ghana, Daniel expresses his displeasure about people who beg in the street.
My advice to people begging in the streets is to desist from the act, since they have hands to work. There is no pride in begging in the street. There is no respect in begging for alms. Do the little that you can. I have suffered in my life. I have farmed for several years, so I know what it means to make my own money.
Disabled people have been neglected both by government and society. The government does not have any active policy to promote the livelihoods of disabled people. There is the urgent need for companies and government to employ people with disabilities, with skills, and to equip those without skills.
Right, you're still watching Joy News today. Now, the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations is asking stakeholders and individuals to keep faith in the government of Ghana to implement the National Plan of Action Against Child Labour. Ignatius Bafoiwa, as the 2018 commemoration of the World Day Against Child Labour in Cape Coast, advocated an integrated approach in combating child labour and eventually eliminating the canker by 2025. Richard Kojunyako was there and has filed this report.
Delivering the keynote address to mark the day in Cape Coast, the sector minister, Ignatius Bafoiwa, explained child labour remains a critical national issue which government is addressing with the support of the media. Ignatius Bafoiwa acknowledged the efforts of the NGOs and donor communities in combating child labour, but lamented the issue of instances of abuse of children both in school and out of school. He disclosed that as part of effort to eliminate child labour, the ministry has successfully launched the Phase 2 of the National Plan of Action for the elimination of the worst forms of child labour. We are not saying that you should not allow children to sweep or undertake household chores, but menial jobs that take children out of school and put them in hazardous situations should be stopped.
All forms of abuse of children in the form of slavery is totally unacceptable by the international community, and it is also unacceptable by Ghanaians.
On the health and safety of workers in the country, the minister says improving the safety and health of young workers will contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal 8. Ghana NGO Coalition on the Rights of the Child commented that the policies for working to combat child labour should not be left to gather dust on shelves. The representatives of the USAID Ghana, James Lucas, of the Economic Growth Office of the U.S. Embassy in Ghana, said the commemoration of the day is important to draw awareness on the child labour situation in Ghana. He cited the work with allied stakeholders in strengthening the capacity of community and district stakeholders, precisely the community, district advocates and committees in their activities. This year's World Day Against Child Labour and the World Day for Safety and Health at Work focuses on the global need to harness the safety and health of young workers and also to end child labour. It is dubbed Resist Child Labour, Improve the Safety and Health of Young Workers towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 8. Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Now, a petroleum engineer from Tullow Oil, Derek Kluche, has advised the country's graduates to be motivated in promoting the development of this country instead of making quick money. Sharing his knowledge at a mentorship session of the ongoing National Science and Maths Quiz, Mr. Kluche dissuaded mentees from obsession with white-collar jobs. He has also been sharing memories from his alma mater, Ghana Secondary Technical School. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Things I learned over the years in the industry and then working and coming out as a good engineer was, if you're going to be designing stuff for the guys on the field, you have to have worked with them on the field before. Okay. Because in other words, you are trying to tell them that you understand what they are doing, you know what they are wanting to do, so you are now going to be able to design something for them that is usable for them. Because most of the time, we don't want a situation where the guys just come straight and go into the office. Fine, other people have that opportunity, take it. But from my experience in our industry, the field work and the field experience is very key for you to being a very good engineer. And that was one of the reasons why I advised a few of the young guys in my article that they should take advantage of what I term the dirty job and then get to understand what the industry they're working in or which area they're going to be working as the engineers, to be able to deliver proper sound engineering for these guys who are going to be end up like the end users of their designs. So that's the reason I said that. So.
You know, we speak to young people, and usually concerns about even getting the capital to start a business, you know, is a big problem. But always we hear people talking about entrepreneurship. How do we start even when we do not have, you know, the capital? So for young people who want to start their own businesses, who do not have the capital, what do they do?
Well, I can't answer that question because I'm still learning and I'm still trying to build my capacity in my industry. Okay. But having to speak to a few friends of mine who are into these investments where they give money to these small startup companies to be able to do what they want to do. My advice is it would be best if these guys see some of these guys. If your idea is good, they would buy into it. So most of the time, I think some of the guys are quick to jump the ship. Patience is very key there. So I advise that there's a lot of people that give grants. There's a lot of companies that give sponsorship. There's a lot of companies that are willing to start some of these young entrepreneurship ideas that some of these guys come up with. So it will be best that these guys speak to these guys. Don't jump blind. Jump with something to hold on to, because basically people have done it before. And that's one of the good things about this mentorship program. Some of us have passed the stage that these guys are going to come into. So the whole idea is to get them to understand that these are the dynamics of it. So this is how to take the leap or the step of faith. So basically speak to guys who have already done it before. That's why the mentorship thing is very key to the young ones coming up, because it obviously helped me. So it should. These guys to speak to guys who have done it. I'm still learning, so I would be the right person to advise them on how to get the capital to start their businesses. But
great.
Yeah.
Great. Let's take you to the contest grounds now and gauge the mood after we just found that Apam Senior High School has won the contest against Kintampo Senior High School and Christ the King Senior High School. Emefa Jodosi is there.
Contest, you won from the very beginning, from round 1 to round 5. What exactly do you think accounted for all this? Do you think there's appropriate preparations ahead of the contest?
Yes, it's because they had enough preparation and we had confidence in it. There was much support, there was encouragement from all sources, being the teachers, the students, and the students who, the contestants themselves had prepared enough and they were able to come out. And we know that there are greater heights yet to come.
You think that the morale also played a very important role? Because I mean, you were cheering throughout from
even when they had the questions wrong, they answered wrong, we still cheered them up and that motivated them. And you know that you are going to do better.
All right, thank you very much. So that's one of the students from the Apam Senior High School. I'm going to try and speak to the two who actually stood in for Apam Senior High School. So they won. I think that they're having the second highest scores in this particular preliminary stage, because I know the first one got 61 points, and they have also won with some 54 points. That's the second highest so far in this preliminary stages. But let me get closer and speak to them as they were able to beat the following schools. They actually beat Kintampo Senior High School, who also got some 15 points, and also Christ the King, who got 14 points in this particular contest. But let me just get closer to them and speak to you, the two of you, or which of them? The two of them. Okay, so let me come closer to you. From the very beginning, from the word go, from round 1 round into round 5, you won. You know, you are ahead in all of it. What's the secret? Who wants to take that question? Okay.
Actually, it's been God's grace, never by our fault. We do practice, but it takes him above to give us the victory. And we thank him a lot, and we'll forever count on him for success in our further rounds.
How different was this particular contest from how you experienced it at the regional?
It's the same thing for us. By God's grace, everything is well, and we know it will be well.
What should we expect from Apam Senior High School? You know, the 1/8 contest is not going to be an easy one. How prepared are you ahead of that? And do you think that you possibly beat any other school that you meet in the next contest?
Forever, we still count on the Lord, and we are sure that with him on our side, we are going to hail to high altitudes. And so for now, we hope on him, and we are sure that we'll take the trophy.
Great. Congratulations, first of all. Who is your trainer? Where is your trainer? You are the trainer? Okay, let me get closer to you. I didn't see you cheer in the crowd, though, but I'm sure that you've been with them throughout. You've seen how prepared they are. First of all, are you satisfied with their performance they put out today?
Yeah, what I would say from the beginning, I would say that we give thanks to God. As to whether we are satisfied or not, still we'll give thanks to God, but that's not what we're aiming at. We're aiming at something like a 3-digit, so like 100% score. So we'll take it like that in the name of God.
That's how prepared you are?
Yes, please. We are looking for a bigger school than that, so I think we'll take it like this. But we are.
Congratulations to Apam Senior High School and all winning schools. Remember, Joy News is your official TV station for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz. But let's move to other subjects now. And the Ghana Immigration Service says it is in the process of procuring sophisticated gadgets and weapons to aid it in border patrol. The service in 2016 was given government approval to purchase arms to patrol the country's vulnerable borders. 2 years down the line, the service is yet to be seen with the arms at the various borders. Speaking to Joy News on the sidelines of the launch of the second 5-year strategic plan, leadership of the service assured that the situation will soon improve.
It's been 2 years since the Ghana Immigration Service was given the green light to purchase and use arms as part of the service's visibility at the various borders. Explaining reasons for the delay in executing that mandate, Deputy Commissioner and Head of Technical Working Group, Erica Fari, says the situation will soon change.
GIS, until the passage of the law 2016 itself is not armed. But the law now has empowered us to be armed and then to also patrol our borders. And so what we are doing now is to restructure and then re-equip. And now we have the legal backing to patrol our borders. And so I'm sure when we start patrolling, our physical presence and the use of surveillance cameras will definitely reduce transnational organized crime across our borders.
DC Erica Fari reiterated development partners of the strategic plan, the European Union, are optimistic the successful implementation of a plan will reduce illegal migrations of Ghanaians to European countries.
They will want us to take charge of our borders. They want us to reduce transnational organized crime. They expect us to also strengthen our data management system in immigration so that whoever enters this country, Ghana is seen as a safe haven. It also means that criminals can come and hide here. And so immigration service has to strengthen the front line and then also do sufficient intelligence gathering such that all criminals who might be hiding in this country and could use this place as a staging post to cause havoc in the surrounding countries can be flushed out.
Assistant Commissioner of Immigration and Head of Policy Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Faisal Disu, hopes the second strategic plan has the capacity to address the challenges bedeviling the service.
We found out that our internal consultation was not really done well. Regional commanders, sector commanders felt that the previous plan was something drawn in Accra and actually pushed on them to implement. People did not feel that sense of ownership. We have done a needs assessment, which we have embarked on a nationwide tour, and we believe that this plan actually satisfies our needs. It will satisfy our needs for the next 5 years.
The Finance Ministry has been blamed in the past for delays in disbursement of funds for execution of policies, but Chief of Staff Akosua Frema Osel Pare assures things will be handled differently with this development plan. The Ghana Immigration Service is hopeful the 5-year development plan, which spans 2018 to 2022, will be effectively executed to achieve its intended aim. Charity M. Hill-Batel's report for Joy News.
Still watching Joy News today. I am Daniel Daze. Let's take business now with Emmanuel Abajiri Afi.